Hello Topolus, hello Nickajaguar. What is happening today? Friends, Womans, countrymen, Big Dino. It's very funny, isn't it? You don't look at it and go, when you see my last name, Dino Sin, do you? Welcome, Dino Sin. What's happening? But it doesn't even look like it, Dino. Oh well. I shall never understand. And that is okay. Happy Party Monday, Frog Jim. Indeed she does. Something I'm not looking forward to. Tremendous. Guaranteed when you tell everyone, yes, here we go. This is what I don't want to paint. The chat team will be like, Deno, let's fucking do that one with the bells on, you fuckwit. How good. We've got a decision to make though. Do we paint this, which doesn't have this arm because it was in the box, knowing that I'll have to go in and correct that arm, or do we paint this and start something new? I'm sort of leaning towards this at the moment. Boop. Yeah, I think we'll do this. One arm isn't that difficult to correct. Oh, where did we begin? The rubble of our sins. G'day, Rumble. Oh, where did we begin? The rubble of our sins. And the walls kept tumbling down in the city we loved. Grey clouds roll over the hills, bringing darkness from above. But if you close your eyes... Yes. One could almost say that it's Bastille Day. There it is, I said it. Ho, ho, ho. It's not actually Bastille Day, but yes, I'm a very amusing guy. Oh, oh, oh. A couple of tra-la-las. That's how they dance the day away in the merry old land of Oz. Alright, we're going to mix a dark base coat for this skin tone. And I'm actually going to talk about this as much as I possibly can, so that I can replicate this when I go to do the arm. So I've mixed red ochre, or that chimera, is it called red ochre? Or red oxide maybe. Red oxide and black to create a dark base coat. Step one. There's a good tune, that one. Most of this face is in shadow, which is always a problem for bust painting. So you really want the focal point to be high value, and anything in a shadow such as this, it's a struggle to make that high value. Yeah, I have, yeah. I have a tendency to get like locked into patterns, and so I wanted to try and break out of that a bit in terms of how I approach the skin tones. So I've used red oxide a lot, orange a lot, like both the chimera colours, just to try and move away from the traditional, like the Nocturna paints is probably my favourite skin colour paints. It has been for a while, so using some different ones, different colours, stretchy stretch. Oh, I've got sniffles for some reason. I wonder what that's about. Just had a shower. Temperature change, maybe. Esports. It's in the game. Oh, let's go. Love Deno leaks. Yeah, fairy flesh is too good, man. I'm going to try blowing my nose and see if that helps. Use this paper towel that I have right here. Bizarre. What's the Deno leaks today? Alright, how good's that? What a beautiful base. I think that's a fair assessment, mate. Yes, fair assessment. This guy's got a very Sumerian vibe. Indeed, I was known as the Drift King. Morning, Sumachigun. Morning. Or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. I'm guessing since you're in Barcelona, it is a beautiful morning. Buenos dias to you, sir. Or madam. Or other. Scarlet Saint, g'day mate, what's happening? Yes friends, today it's an exciting day. We are bringing to a close this trio of great people from FER Miniatures. I am indeed very pretty. The answer to that question is you don't need to use a micro detail brush. What you need is a brush with a micro fine detail point. So the larger brushes, if they're good quality, will usually retain just as fine a point as some of the smaller ones. However, because there is more space in the well of the bristles to retain paint, the paint doesn't tend to dry out as quickly, and so that gives you the added advantage of being able to get a little bit more time. So you don't need to use a super fine detail brush, which is a common misconception. However, I will say this: use whatever brush you feel comfortable using. If you feel like you need that fine detail brush to achieve a certain type of result, then absolutely use that brush. But you'd be surprised at how much easier you may find using a larger brush in terms of how much control you can have with some practice. So I've mixed red oxide and Nocturna reddish flesh. Excuse me, I just have a work phone call, stand by, just turn off my mic. Sorry for that. Yeah. So the smaller brushes will do exactly the same thing as the bigger brushes. You just may find you're having to go back and forth more because the paint dries out a lot quicker in the bristles. Wow, I have never even seen a brush of that size. This is a 0, and I actually feel like for what I'm trying to do right now, this is too small, but we're making do. Yeah, I've spent a bit of time with some of the other, well, a little bit of time with some of the other painters out there in the world. Roman Gruber, he uses very small brushes because he finds that that's the control that he wants to get. Sergio uses fairly large brushes. Meg Maples pretty much uses a 2-0 or a 3-0 for everything. And Alfonso is also quite partial to a large brush. So, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The paint, because what's happening is, so when you get paint in the paintbrush, the paint is actually gathering down here in this well, the belly of the brush, and the more fibers there are down there in the belly, like in this one, the more likely it is to stay moist throughout the brush, because there's constantly a flow of wet paint coming from the back of the brush. So as you're drawing a line on the model, the paint's getting drawn from inside the brush out. So the more bristles down here, the fatter the belly, the longer working time you'll get. However, unless the point is very good, and as you can see on this one, it's not really retaining a very good point now. Whereas this one is a 0, and it's still as fine as this 3-0, if not finer. So you can achieve exactly the same results with this, and in some cases, because your paint will stay moist and it will flow from the brush more evenly. I do love a moist towelette, moist brush. Yeah. Anyway, that is enough jibber jabber from me. Get amongst it. Let's get some orange. Oof, it's so moist. No, it's common mistake. Trap for unwary punters. So for those good friends who were out and about on yesterday's stream, my morning stream for me, which results in a nighttime stream for my American friends and a 2 a.m. stream for my friends in Europe. I did talk a lot about my plans for my next diorama. So we're doing a super cool futuristic cyberpunk city. It's going to be outstanding, and I'm very excited for it. Humidor or Humidor, how is it pronounced? No, I'm not Banshee's student. I've met the guy a couple of times at Monty and Scale Model Challenge, and I participated in his speed painting at Monty, which was a blast. I was a member on his Patreon back when it was a Patreon. I have not yet transferred membership over to his miniature art studio or miniature art academy, but there is a possibility I will. I always like to continue expanding my learning and so on, and so I think I may go back in and do some more stuff. I followed his Hellboy project like crazy. After I saw it at Monty, I was like, I just have to have every part of that injected into my veins. So yeah, the cyberpunk city, I'll talk about that in a second. The reason I talk about it is I've got some other stuff related to it that I'm going to talk about. So so my cyberpunk city is based on pretty much all of Nico Galaxy's cyberpunk fantasy chic range of awesome figures. So I'm going to include most of them, if not all of them, in my diorama. And I've got plans to use heaps of LED and lighting effects. However, I want to do them in a slightly different way. So I want to try and use LEDs and fluorescent paint so that we have my paint job as the first step of the piece. So, just painted the models to the same sort of standard that I would normally paint them to, which is hopefully reasonably high. And then underlaying that will be all of these neon lights, which will double as completely changing how the scene is viewed. So you'll have fluorescent paints and signs that have been painted that'll look different when you have the fluorescent lights turned on. So that's my plan at the moment. It's pretty full on. I drew heaps of little pictures in yesterday's stream and diagrams and pointed out what I was planning on doing and all this sort of stuff, and it's going to be outrageous. So I'm learning how to solder and how to do electronics at the moment, so I can make it super cool. The invisible ink, we'll do graffiti and stuff that you can't see until you turn the lights on. Good shout, Jaguar, good shout. So I've got a lot of plans. So it's not going to be a project for the next week, put it that way. But I've started buying bits to help me achieve the desired outcome. So like a soldering kit and blah blah blah. Anyway, so the reason I'm talking about all this now is because I was chatting to my friend Mark, who did the 3D printing for my Camelot project. So if you remember, for Camelot I had some really nice 3D printed scenery that I was able to integrate into my base. Looked really good. I was a big fan. I was like, how good is this 3D printing malarkey? I can pick stuff off the internet out of imaginary land, and then next minute you've got a piece of terrain that you can put on a base. It's delightful. It's outstanding. G'day Shadow Uvra. So I was super pumped about that. However, I wasn't super pumped about having to learn a whole new skill set of setting up a 3D printer, blah 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 blah, all that sort of stuff. Well, anyway, because of this new project where I'm learning how to solder, I thought, well, fuck it, why not? Why not just get a 3D printer and learn how to do that? So I was chatting to my mate Mark, who did the 3D print for Camelot, and he's going to actually he's doing some house renovations at the moment, so he's going to lend me the 3D printer that he's using, g'day Celery, or that he used for a number of projects, including some of the stuff that I got him to print, so I can have a little trial run to see if it's something I want to do. Aha, buckers, what's going on? So that was an exciting turn of events, and I'm going to be able to learn a little bit of new stuff, how to 3D print, how to set up things for a 3D printer, where to buy 3D printed things from, how to scale up, how to scale down. Might even finally dip my toes into the waters of 3D sculpting. Bucks, this is a mixture. So I've got 4 colours over here, 5 colours. We've got Chimera Orange, Chimera Red Oxide, Nocturna Reddish Flesh, Chimera Skin in the Cartacci set, and then Sunny Skin Tone. And it's sort of a mixture of all of those. I did see that, yeah, hopefully fucking kicks the shit out of him. So I'm looking forward to reaching the end of this piece. Actually, for whatever reason, when it comes to historical figures, I just can't remain enthused. Because I never feel like I'm doing anything that's like outrageous. I never feel like I'm doing something that's, oh yeah, no one else has ever done this before. This is Big Dano just fucking cutting up boundaries. You know, just making new space in the world. I was just like, wow, Big Dano's painting some things that everyone else has painted as well. In the same colours, because you have to stay historically accurate. Enjoy. Big Dano. So good. And it's not like that, but I just, I'm at this point in the project now where I'm like, yeah, I wish I was starting something new. Well, that's similar with a lot of big projects, you know, multi model projects that I've done. You do hit a wall sometimes, so sometimes you need to take a break. Sometimes you need to push through. It's up to you to decide what one of those options you want to pursue. And in this case, I decided I was going to push through, get the piece done. I've got to wait for the arm on this side to come out anyway, so I'll let that happen. And then maybe I'll feel like revisiting it when it arrives, given that it's going to take probably another 3 or 4 weeks. Yes, yesterday's stream was a good one. I did some good work on Singa Torix. Show him off in a second. We had a good old chinwag about the Wheel of Time. I was pretty pumped for it actually. After I got off streaming, I sat down and kept painting anyway. Here's Singa Torix. Feel happy about where he's at. Yep, I am indeed, buddy. Going to mess around with those things. Coding the blah blah blahs. So they all spin around and do cool shit. At the moment. The cool thing about trying a project like this is I'm going to be able to try heaps of stuff before committing to the actual project, and if I can't get the lighting effects to work the way that I want them to, that's fine. I can just paint the models and do the diorama without the lighting, and that'll be fun. That'll be super cool anyway. But yeah, just as always, nice to try and develop some new skills and become a more well-rounded human being that's capable of soldering electronics and writing code and painting toy soldiers and juggling. I can juggle, if you're wondering. Yep. Well, without going too crazy, I may be able to sculpt that sort of stuff myself on a 3D program. That's my plan. I don't think I'll do that on stream because that's going to be a lot of torturous pain as I learn. So there's these new LEDs that my friend, so this dude I've been talking about, my 3D printer made Mark, he's got the whole other aspect of the hobby locked down. You know, like he does bigger things, and he puts lights into spaceships, and you know, makes models and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Nothing like anything I've ever done, so I find it pretty awesome. But the last time I was at his house, he showed me these things called LED filament cable strip things, and they're just like a little strand that's got heaps of tiny little LEDs all the way through it, and it's completely flexible. It's like wibbly wobbly, and so you can make the little strand into a letter or a shape. So he used it for some lightsabers and stuff, which looked really cool on his Star Wars figures. And we were just chatting about some of the possibilities. Neon signs was one that was tossed up at the time. So, as I often do, I just like filed this little idea into my head back when he was talking about it, thinking, oh yeah, some neon signs would be cool on a fucking toy soldier project, a cyberpunk project. So yeah, that's just been percolating, and now it feels like the right time to whip that bad boy out. My biggest problem with this piece so far is it sits in a very desaturated and boring palette, and I feel like I've done a pretty reasonable job in the painting, but I'm not enthusiastic when I stare at the figures. I'm like, well, this is, fine, but it's also pretty boring. What can I do to make it more interesting? So at the moment I'm just sort of tossing up, well, maybe I could add some reflective green lights, or something happening behind them, makes it more interesting. I was saying to some of my painting friends the other day, the other fucking thing that pisses me off when I do a project of this scale is you always feel like you get better. Like from one paint job to the next, I feel like you learn and you evolve and grow. And there's almost a part of me that feels like this paint job is already better than the other two that I've done, which is so annoying. It's so annoying. Yeah, that would be awesome. on this piece, Bucks. It's just very boring, generic. Yeah, and that's what gets me with this type of the work, the historical work, because you feel constrained. Yeah. I also like the skin colour the most. It does. Like I'm sure that there's a lot of cool story, and I'm sure if you got into the history and the background of all these people, and you were enthusiastic about that stuff, this would be super cool to be able to paint a piece about a dude that you're fucking enthusiastic about researching and blah blah blah. But yeah, I just find I'm not that inspired. No, not planning on entering anything, mate, but I think it's good to challenge yourself, It's good to try and do things you're not good at, or work in styles and techniques that you're not good at, so you can get better at them. And I certainly think that the historical pieces I do now versus the historical pieces I was doing a few years ago are chalk and cheese. And hopefully that will continue to improve and grow and evolve. It is called a Smart Airjet Mini or something. SmartJet Pro. SmartJet Pro. It's a relatively small one, but it's been kicking on for quite a while. It's just very close to where everything is, that's all. Here is my wet palette. I am now touching my compressor with my paintbrush. Now, Hendarian, g'day you crazy guy. Yeah, I probably don't place enough value on a good compressor. when I talk about it. I normally focus on, yeah, get a good airbrush, blah blah blah, but yeah, good compressor certainly does open up a lot more flexibility when you can tweak the temperatures and stuff. Temperatures. Pressures. This is my favourite colour. This is the #1 colour in the world of Big Deno skin painting. It's called peanut butter. Get yourself some peanut butter. Just a delightful colour. 10 out of 10. I'm using it as a filter. This is the consistency or the dilution. The absolute surefire way of not succeeding at airbrushing is to not be able to do it because you're constantly fighting the equipment. Because it's a feel thing, it's a practice thing. And if all of your practice is on why is this fucking not working and I need to fix it, I can guarantee you will not spend much time learning how to be better. You might be really good at cleaning your fucking airbrush though. I have a couple of airbrushes Shadow Oeuvre, the first being this one, which is the Iwata HPB+. It's a very fine detail airbrush. An outstanding piece of equipment that does really fine detail when you know how to use it. And then the second one I use is this one, which is an Iwata HPCS, which I think is called an Eclipse. Do you have either of those brushes, Sumachigun? Or is it a similar brush? Most airbrushes are very similar, mate. So this bit is completely irrelevant, you could get away with it. This bit is the locking pin that holds the needle in place. You need that. That is the only thing that's holding the needle in place. So take the needle out of the bad boy. You'll then usually have a front end nozzle, which you can unscrew. Those nozzles will usually have a little jobby that sits in there that can be pulled out. In my case, this actually also comes apart as well. The only part that's difficult to put back together, those are all very straightforward and logical, is usually this component here. So this is the trigger. So for this one, there is actually a screw in there. This is pretty common in all of them I've seen so far. So you unscrew this, and then there'll be this bit, a spring. Don't lose your spring, dinner, dickhead. And this little bit, which is the trigger jobbo. So, and the trigger usually comes out as well. So they normally have to go in a specific order. This one, for example, you can see there's a hole through that there, which means that the needle has to go through that. So this goes in first, and the little silver jobbo has to go into that hole because that's the bit that's going to push down on the trigger. Boom, boom, boom. This bit, it actually only goes in one way, as complicated as it looks. If you try to put it in like this, it doesn't work. If If you try to put it in backwards, it doesn't work. So the only way you can actually put it in is to put that bit into that little slot. Pretty straightforward. You then put your little spring go on there. Bingo, bango, bongo. This boy goes in like this. Now I usually take all of these bits out at the once, so they normally stay pretty tight. This has to be wound in a fair way. This little bit can be cleaned depending on your airbrush. Sometimes these little bits come apart as well. In this case, this one actually comes apart 3 times. A bit excessive, really. Where possible, don't put your needle in until last. However, my friend Gavin, he actually recommends that you put your needle in from the front. So he recommends you go like this. Recommends you go this way, putting your needle in, because you're less likely to bend the tip. I don't subscribe to that theory. I feel like I'm more clumsy and more likely to bend the tip if I put it in that way, and then try and carefully put those things in there. Right, so you tighten that, usually finger tight's enough. That goes in there. In goes the needle. Push it through till it's tight, but not super tight. If you push too hard with the needle, what happens is it stretches the little collar, which will fuck up your airbrush. And then this bad boy screws on. We're away. Bob's your uncle. Kicking some goals. Very, very straightforward for the most part. Let's make this chap blonde-haired, I think. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed god. Call him Deno. Ha ha ha. Don't call him Deno. Kiwi bear. Honestly, most airbrushes, once you've done one, you could disassemble and put back together just about any of them. They're all very similar, but there's a few little, like even between my 2 airbrushes, there's a few little differences about there. Thanks, Ron. You're a champion. A few little differences at the front nozzle that you need to be aware of. Ron, what a legend you are, mate. Tell me, Ron, do those 6591, do those numbers have any relevance, or did you just pick those randomly? I'm interested to know, pal. I'm not a siphon brush fan myself. I used one, found it very, very difficult for this level of detail. Ah, awesome. Awesome, mate. Well, I've been painting minis for a few years, so I'm happy to give you any advice. Hopefully I can be of some assistance. Thanks for the follow, champion. Well, let me give you something that may provide you with some hope. I was also useless when I first started with an airbrush. Practice, practice, practice. You can achieve just about anything. Yes, I'm familiar with that one. It's a good book. So I think I've used the term practice a lot, and I wrote a little article that explains a lot about my methodology and why I do things the way I do and think about things the way I think about them. But I say practice all the time, but there's a few elements of that that are really crucial. So practice when you understand what you're trying to achieve, and when you're analysing your mistakes, whether that's through self-analysis or through critique from other people. So I have 5 golden rules of miniature painting. Let me see if I can find my little... I did a little class and I wrote a little handout for the class. And I put my 5 golden rules. One of them was actively seek feedback. Because it's all well and good to practice, but if you don't know what you're practicing, then it's fucking pointless. So... yes, I have seen Mitch's military models. I think I've even bought a model from there, believe it or not. Many, many years ago now. Back when I was first starting miniature painting in the display world, I'm certain I bought one from Mitch's models. Here's an article for you, mate. This is an article I wrote. I'm very intelligent. Well worth reading. 10 out of 10 book. Not a book, but... No, look, I wrote that article because I was asked a lot of questions by people. It's like, well, how do you get better? Because they felt like I got better really quickly over a quick period of time. And I said, well, you know, the fundamental answer is practice, but there's more to it than that. Practice is not going to help you achieve what you want to achieve unless it's directed practice, unless you understand what you're doing wrong, unless you are working towards a specific goal, etc., etc. So, yeah. So I wrote it all in that article. So feel free to read that. May not be anything revolutionary. You may have heard the majority of it before, but it's rare that you'll hear it used in a miniature painting context where people are like, yeah, this is how you get better at miniature painting. Awesome. I'm okay with it so far. It's a good read, Rumble. Guy wrote it's very, very wise. No, I joke a lot, as I'm sure most of you know. But most of the stuff I do in my real job is like coaching people and helping people achieve goals, work out how to be better. So it's sort of taking that learning and applying it to miniature painting, which is actually how I was able to get better in a short space of time. Very good singer. When you put your highlight colour on, I am not doing either of those things. I'm not blending it, nor am I dry brushing it. So I'm using a technique which some people call wet brushing, some people call over brushing, some people call layering. And what I'm doing is taking a moist paint, and rather than highlighting or painting the whole area, I'm being a little more precise, and I'm leaving some gaps of the previous colour showing through. So here, for example, there's a dark line there. I'm going to leave that there. These dark lines are going to get kept down here. So this is, yeah, it's probably, I believe the first time I heard it explained to me, it's called wet brushing, but it's not dry brushing. The paint's moist, but you are sort of using the texture of the figure to help direct your brush strokes. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that it's that similar to oil painting. Oil painting is kind of a bit. I did a class with some oil painters, and the way that they do stuff is they block a lot of things in. So I've mixed in a slightly lighter colour now, Ron. So what I'm doing is I'm going to leave a little bit more of the colour that I just painted on show. And we're slowly going to build up these different volumes with a variety of different shades of colour, which will help reinforce. It is, yes, I do upload all of my streams onto YouTube. My YouTube channel has some instructional videos on there as well. Has some videos of me playing football, if you go back far enough, doing a magnificent job. Oh boy, I've got some good Hugo photos for tonight. Little buddy! So we're now mixing up a lighter colour again. And this one we're going to start to create some light reflections in the beard. Little buddy. Yeah, I don't know that it is actually. I think it might be Trent Dennison. Oh, maybe it is Big Deno Paints. I'm sure I changed it at some point to something. But the link may be on my About profile on Twitch. And it's up. No, I didn't put it up the top. It's somewhere. Alright, we've got to have a look at some Hugo photos. My girlfriend just sent Hugo photos. Little buddy! Oh. Ah, little dickhead. This is my dog. Thanks, mate. Here he is. There he is. What a champion. He went to daycare today. Oh, Mittens. Little buddy. Yeah. What's happening, Mittens? You rock star? G'day, Iron Ant. Everyone should go follow Mittens. She's just about to get back into miniature painting. Stream soon. A compressor broke. She'll be back into it very soon. I'm sure of it. Won't you, Mittens? Look at this flowing golden locked majesty. Look at him. What an absolute specimen he is. He looks like a young Big Deno. If Big Deno could grow a beard. And had massive arms. Thanks, buddy. No real news yet, mate. For classes. Haven't really got any plans. The base colour that I use is this one. It's called Kiwi Brown. It's like a greeny brown colour. And I'm about to just cut sick and make him really yellowy blonde. Because he looks a bit pastel. Yep, go through yellows and then into a white. We're going to try and make it a little more yellow now. Indeed, 28mm are far less fun to paint than these bad boys. Far less fun. I'm going to drop this way down, PSI wise. My favourite scale is probably 75. But I love painting busts. Like, bust painting is just so fun. And here's why. You don't paint a bust for anything other than to enjoy the experience of painting a bust. You got no ulterior motive. You got no justification to do it other than I am doing this for the express purposes of painting this fucking thing. And that is a satisfying feeling. When usually you're painting stuff, you're like, I'm trying to paint this for my army, or I'm trying to paint this for a tournament competition that I'm entering, blah blah blah. But bust painting, it's just great. That's how I've picked up all my chicks as well, mate. Generally not that good, you'd be surprised. All right, let's do some colours on his thing. It is indeed, yes. One of their new releases. Green shade. Ramasquera, hola. If you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape. I'm the love that you search for. Come with me and escape. Alright, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is mix this blue with a little bit of black, so we get a very dark blue. And then I'm also going to mix in a little bit of this orange. So let's use some very basic colour theory here, friends. Orange and blue are complementary colours. And when you mix complementary colours, you get a grey. So what we're actually doing is we're creating a greyish tone to this colour. Hello Snick Sun, thank you mate. Why would we want to do that? Why would we want to go to a grey colour? Well, the answer to that is we want to work with two elements. We want to work with saturation, so vibrant, intense colours, and we want to work with desaturation, which is greyish, greyed out colours. And I tend to find that when I do historical stuff, everything that I paint is way too saturated and vibrant, because that is the type of painter that I am. So by forcing myself to mix in colours, to make colours more grey, I find that it will help our overall finished effect. Yes indeed mate, this will go onto the YouTube channel probably about 2 hours after I finish streaming and go lie down, and then upload it. Now you may be asking, why mix a desaturated blue? Surely you could use a dark sea blue or a colour that's already ready to roll. Yes, I could. But it's nice to have some unique tones that aren't pre-mixed on your piece sometimes. Don't know that I have a favourite paint brand. I use a lot. I use Games Workshop contrast paints a lot. I use Chimera, I use Nocturna, I use Vallejo, I use Scale Fantasy. Whee! Yeah, I use most paint ranges. I don't really have a strong preference. At the moment I'm using a lot of Chimera, but that's for no other reason other than they're pretty cool. Exciting Ramasquera. Yeah, he's pretty heavy. Yeah, he's a bit of a chunkster. Alright. I'm just going to grab the other ones so we can just assess. So what we're going to try and do on this third chap in the trio, in the Unstoppable trio, is try and tie the colour palettes together a bit. So we're going to try and do some red fabric. He's got blue fabric. He's got yellow hair and he's got a yellow shield. So we may try and incorporate some orange on this, and then we may try and add a little bit of blue to this one as well. These are called something, FER Singa Torix. The Battle of something. FER Miniatures. Gaulish standard barrier. I think it's called The Last Stand of Alesia, maybe. Yep, The Last Stand Alesia. There you go. There is even a link for you. What a magnificent human I am. Outstanding. You don't have to apologise for questions, Ron. If I wasn't comfortable with receiving questions, it would be a very, very ordinary idea to start streaming toy soldier painting, wouldn't it? I might put the other two in the base because I think their positioning is important. Oh, I forgot I did that purple. I know my weakness, know my voice, and I believe it true. Boom, 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 boom. I generally make it up as I go along. Some people use a reference. For historical figures, I usually try to pick a piece of artwork or something that evokes what I want it to look like, but I don't tend to stay too locked in. Like, let me see if I've still got this up on the screen. No, I did that for a piece recently, but Instagram. I did, yeah, there's the face war paint that I used on that particular model. So that was a reference piece that I pulled from the internet. But no, where's this? Yeah, so I did this Roman Tribune figure, and I based that on a specific piece of artwork that I think I still have on my computer. I do. There he is. Ugh. Yes. Here is the artwork I based it on. So I used that as an inspiration for the piece without necessarily being like slavishly attached to it. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes I just make it up. as we're doing with these pieces. We're just making it up as we go along. Oh, that'd be awesome. Have you got a picture of that Ramascura? I'd love to see that, man. That's a great idea. Hey Ron, I'm not having a go at you here, mate. Please take this in the right way, but I dislike the word talent. I think to say someone's talented is something of an insult sometimes, because I don't believe I have any gift that anyone else isn't capable of doing with enough hard work. So don't think that this is not something you can achieve one day and go, that's just talent. It's not, mate. You could achieve it. Anyone in this chat could achieve it. And Darian is already 5 times a better painter than I am. There's many people who've achieved this and better. So don't think you can't achieve it as well, mate, because you can. G'day, 8-pointed star. What's happening, you champion? Ah, awesome, mate. Which one did you pick? I'm going to claim full credit for that. That Liam guy can get fucked. It was all Big Deno. Oh, fantastic selection, mate. That is a great bust. A lot of great shapes. Great textures. You've got all of the key textures there. You've got great hair. You've got great metals. You've got bone. You've got fur. You've got a plethora of skin with interesting rounded volumes. It's great. Great selection. And it doesn't hurt that she's got a little bit of bootay hanging out the top of her pants. Oh yeah. Doffman says a lot of things. Doffman needs some H2. Oh yeah. Calm down, Mittens, calm down. It must be luck, luck, luck. Indeed, indeed I am, mate. That is part of the illusion of creating depth. So we want there to be dark and light in all of these volumes. Oof. Here we go. Very nice start, mate. Yeah, particularly like the lighting that you've got on the face. Really nice. Like you nailed the position of the light on the shoulder, on the bubicles, and on the face. You know, that light's coming from a perfect direction. So that's an awesome start, man. Let me know if you'd like any critical feedback, which I can provide. No, look, mate, I think you should be really proud. The work is awesome for the stage that it's at. Consistent light placement, you know, good level of contrast. All the things I would look for at this stage on track. The one observation I'll make, which is a stylistic choice as well as a important one to be aware of. Even musculature on females, tends to be softer than musculature on males. Not always, but the muscles that you've got around the tummy, they feel like they may just be a little bit too defined right now. And if you're painting a male figure, those muscles look really, really good. But for a female, sometimes that doesn't quite read as nicely. And I would probably like to see just maybe that main deep line and then the underneath line be a little bit lighter, so they're more similar to the rest of the thing. The second observation is based on where your light placement is, there probably shouldn't be quite as many shadows in the line down the center of her stomach. But yeah, honestly, mate, I'm hesitant to give a lot of feedback at that sort of stage in a figure because I think you've got a long way to go. But at this stage, mate, very promising. So yeah, keep chipping away, and please let me know when you finish it, because I'd be absolutely keen to see the finished product. And how fun is it painting busts, eh? Like, you're just doing it to paint a bust. It's mad fun. Well, it's a fair thing to be worried about, because if you don't get the face and eyes right, your figure will look absolute dog shit. Because that's the part that people look at first, that's the part that people resonate with. And even if you have done everything else right, if you get those bits wrong, people will be able to spot it a mile away. Frog Jim, I try to cater my feedback for various levels of painters, mate. So I won't say someone's painting is dog shit unless I know they're at a position that they can take that feedback and run with it. So I'm guessing from your crybaby attitude, you're not that person. So. Noted, mate. Noted. You couldn't, mate. You would get the absolute shit kicked out of you. There'd be 3 hits, mate. There'd be me hitting you hitting the floor, and the ambulance hitting 100 on the way to the hospital. But no, keep mouthing off, mate. Keep fucking going. Let's go. I'm just teasing you, mate. You're a good bloke. One would assume. That's about all you'll be able to hit, mate. Where's my little Rhinox hide? So friends, let's show off the next figure we're going to paint. And I am enthusiastic like crazy about it. The voting's closed. I was going to leave it open for a bit more, but it was pretty much, this one was winning. So we've got this glorious figure from Musculature Collectibles. It's called Thanatos. She floats above this, like there. She floats, but in the middle. Great figure. I talk a lot about negative space when I talk about figures and how much I love negative space. And this is just like a love letter to negative space. So many things, you know, that you can stare through, so much visual gap between elements. It's going to be really, really good to paint and good to draw focus and attention to those areas. Yeah, sort of. I mean, I generally mix up through a colour range, and then when I finish a section, I've sort of got a few various bits of colour from each of the different layers. G'day Esmeralda, what's going on? streaming today. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so Christmas in Australia tends to mean a little bit different to Christmas in many other places. So for us, Christmas is sweltering heat. It'll get up to 35 degrees Celsius probably for Christmas. So for us, Christmas is we spend it by the pool, eating seafood usually. Well, that's what my family does anyway. No. But I did, a few years ago, my mum and dad and myself and my sister and I, we all travelled overseas for Christmas, and we got to have Christmas in Berlin, in Salzburg, right in the middle of winter, and walking around Christmas wonderlands and all that sort of stuff. Wow, it was the best. Absolutely the best. No, we don't really have. I can't really think of any Christmas films off the top of my head. I don't imagine they're very good. Not much of Australian television is, or film. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers! Sorry, Bucks, I didn't know that was a Christmas Australian film. Die Hard. Didn't know. It's human nature to want something that you don't have, isn't it? To, instead of appreciating what we have. You know, here in Australia, every Christmas we're always like, oh geez, I wish it was snowing. And I'm sure many other people that live in colder climates are like, geez, I wish it was warmer during winter. Let's make a deal with each other, everyone. Let's just appreciate where we are for Christmas this year. Good work, all of us. Well done. Bucks. What's going on? Yeah, it is. It is. It's a right challenge. Alright, let's make this clothes look good. How do we do that, you say? Well, I'm going to add some colours into the clothes. Mate, it is one of the trickiest things you can do is to try and get contrast and value in a female skin tone. Oh. Well, I guess it would be nice if I could airbrush your body. I know not everybody has got an airbrush like me. So I gotta think twice before I put my heart away. I know not all the games you play, 'cause I play them too. Oh, but I need some time off that emotion. Try to get my heart back on the floor. Ooh, baby, I reconsider my foolish notion. Showing you the door, but you gotta have faith, faith, faith. I gotta have faith, baby. I'm not sure I understand your question. What was I picking out? What was I highlighting? If you have a look on the thing, I added some darker values down here, aimed for the underside of these areas that I've painted, to add more depth into the darker areas. Love a bit of George. Baby. Ugh. Alright, what colour pelts do we want? I think we might just go for like the greyish colours that I went for on the Singa Torix to maybe tie that together a bit. I feel like that is the right decision. Alright, now that we've got a little bit better sense of the colours that are on the piece, let's tweak the skin tone a little bit. Zoom in a bit for you all. I do indeed, yes. It's sitting right here. I do. So, I've got very quick action from doing this a lot, but I'll wash my brush out, I'll go to the palette, I'll wipe excess off on the paper towel, and then I'll come to the figure. And that's all done at a very rapid speed because I know exactly how much paint I've got on there and how much I want. So I don't often need to muck about. As you get better, you can usually feel when you've got your paint's too moist and you need to tweak it. You can usually feel that on the palette. So alright, let's do some brown. Let's do some little brown bits. It's sleepy today, friends. It's been a long week, and it's Monday. Already feels exhausted. Big dinner. Hey, Frog Jim. You still about? Where's your huddle at, mate? You finished it or what? My girlfriend's ready and waiting the judging. Alright, I'm hearing a lot of excuses. And what I want to be hearing is a lot of things about when it's going to be finished. And when you're going to stop being a weak fuck. Have I ever talked about painter's block on here? Don't know that I have. Well, here's how I deal with painter's block. I don't have to because I never get it because I'm not a weak fuck. No, I'm just kidding. No, painter's block's difficult sometimes. Can be difficult when you want to paint, but you've got many things stopping you from doing it. I actually find the best way to get over painter's block usually when you're like, yeah, I want to create this amazing project and it's going to be my next best thing and blah 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 blah. That's usually when I get ruffled feathers. Just paint something for fun. Just go and grab something that's a Mad Dog model that you're jazzed to paint and just pick it up and start painting it. Even if you don't finish it, even if you don't do anything good, just get in there. Well, I talked a lot about this during Camelot, so I don't know if you were around for that. Sumachi Gun, Sumachi. But I worked on a very, very big piece, and there was a lot of moving parts to it. Literally. Here, let me show you a little cheeky video. A little something of what I prepared earlier. I'm going to get a drink of water. Thanks, Sedgicles, for the follow. Yes, if you go back far enough on my YouTube channel, you will find the streams where I painted this. No 8-pointed star, they are in fact the 75mm version. Indeed I did, Stainbeard Jim, and thank you for joining us. A little something of what I've done. Now, here's what I'll say about that project. It was a very big and very challenging project that took a lot of time. Thanks, Sedgicles. So, there were stages throughout that paint job when I was feeling very much like I was done with the project, and I was like, yep, I've had enough of this shit. Let's get out of here. And there is, thanks Brochamari, and there is always going to be times when you feel like the work that you're producing is not what you envisage in your head, that you think you can do better, that you're bored with painting things, that you don't want to paint this anymore. Those are all valid feelings, and you should remember the reason that you do this hobby. This is one of the things I talk about in my article. One of the tenets of getting better at painting is to understand why you do it. If you don't know why you do it, it's very hard to figure out where you're going wrong or what will motivate you to do it better. So for me, my motivation is because I like painting. So anytime I'm struggling with my motivation and I'm like, oh no, I don't feel like painting at the moment, it's usually because I'm working on a project that just doesn't excite me anymore. And it's okay to put that down and be like, yep, I'm done with this, I'm going to go do something else, and when I come back to that, maybe I'll enjoy it more and maybe I won't, because it's not about the result for me. It's about enjoying that experience of painting it, and at the moment I'm not enjoying that experience, I'm tapping out. Mate, go and check out Black Sun Figures or Black Crow Miniatures. They both do some really nice figures that are perhaps suited to newer painters, particularly in Black Crow. There's a couple of figures that are really good. Have some really basic details that'll be a good step up. Yeah, and as soon as you are aware of what your goal is your goal to paint a piece for Golden Demon? Yeah, get a Cormac up here. If it is to paint a piece for Golden Demon, well, guess what? You got to push through that. You got to find a way to just be like, yep, I hate this figure, but my goal is to paint this for a Golden Demon, and so I need to find a way to get past that frustration. Maybe your motivation is you're trying to get some figures painted for an army, for a tournament. Cool. Doesn't need to be the B's and E's in terms of your paint job, it just needs to be finished. But for me, the most enjoyable, the reason I do this, and what I try to preach to as many people as I possibly can, is stop focusing on the results, because the results is a byproduct of lots and lots of practice. And the best way you can get lots of practice is to enjoy what you're doing. is when you're having fun and you're just like, yeah, this is fucking mad, I'm painting toy soldiers and it's fucking just like everything I wanted to do when I was a little kid, and I'm going to build a fucking giant castle of Camelot for King Arthur, it's going to be fucking sick! And then you do it, and you get to the end of that and you're like, that was fucking mad. I'm ready to go again. Time to build a cyberpunk city just like Blade Runner when I was a little fucking kid. Fuck yeah! Much easier when you know your motivation. Cool. So let me ask you a question, Frog Jim. Do you need to do that last 20%? Does it make the figure better? Could you just slap a bit of black paint on there and add a little yellow highlight and call it a day? Because fuck, mate. Big Dano's all about that. Can't have a look at any of my fucking figures, mate. Actually, let's grab one down right now. I'll put it in the cabinet. I'm going to go grab it right now and show you the shit. Give you 5 guesses what I was super jazzed about painting on this figure. Give you 5 guesses what I wasn't jazzed about painting on this figure. Give you 5 guesses as to what I did in 12 seconds. It's this bit. Fuck that. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go and have a real close look at some of these little scrappy bits. What are they? Oh, that's right, fucking nothing but black paint. It's all putting focus where you want it. Alright, this is what people look at. This is what people look at. I'm not painting this for fucking competitions. Boom. Yeah, right, I will. I'll show you this. So this is actually a piece I was chatting about last night with Bucks, alright? So the other day, we were talking about non-metallic metal because I was like, having a cry about these figures. I was like, this sucks. Non-metallic metal's shit house. Well, no, true metallic metal's shit house. I want to do non-metallic metal. Get in my dick. Just fucking, this shit sucks. So Bucks is like, ridiculous. Forget about it. Do we need non-metallic metal? Can't we just do really great true metallic metal? And I said, well, here's why I think we need to get right into non-metallic metal as an actual avenue of painting and why we need to be better at it. And this is a piece of artwork that I saw in a gallery in Sydney. Now, this is obviously painted by a maestro of art, whatever. I sat there looking at it and I was like, I'm going to take a photo of this because that breastplate, dead set, looks like it's a metal breastplate. It is painted with no metallic pigments like what we use all the time. It is just normal paint. That is a white oil paint. There's blue, there's brown, there's orange. That's a piece of artwork that exhibits the true essence of non-metallic metal. Now the reason I brought this up is because I sat there staring at this piece for, I reckon, 20 minutes, right? Have a look at the dog shit paint job on that brown cloak, on that brown fucking t-shirt. That is just a piece of shit brown smeared on a bagel and then rubbed on the palette. Call that shit a day. That's done. The hair, mate, you could have done that with a sponge. Bloop, 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 bloop. Job done. No one's looking at that shit, right? Because what people are looking at is the face, which is where all the detail is. The breastplate, which is where all of the contrast is, where it sells the illusion of what it is. And beside that piece of metal, we've got an object that doesn't reflect as much light, that absorbs That is a texture that's very dull and matte, and so the painter has painted it to reflect, pun unintended, reflect that objective. It is just a dull surface to contrast further with the reflective metal surface. You don't need every part of your piece to be painted to the nines. If you're entering a competition, maybe. If you're painting for yourself, if you're painting for fun, this will work. And I tell you what, if you took that to a competition, it would be a brave judge that would be able to go, this piece is shit out because you've painted your cloak to look like someone smeared bagel shit on it. Wouldn't happen. Because that's not where the focal point is. Here endeth the lesson. Tell me a time in the last fucking 12 months of stream that I have been wrong. Frog Jim, fuck mate. It's all on film. It's all recorded. You can fucking go and have a read through every fucking bit of it, mate. You'd be hard pressed. I actually wouldn't mind a bagel now. No, you don't, Frog Jim. That's an illusion. I don't think that was wrong. I think that was fine. Let me say this though. That was a lesson. But I wasn't wrong. I'm going to tell my missus to bury you in this fucking competition, by the way. You're all fucked. I do indeed use a clear coat at the end, yes. I'm actually going to use some very shortly to smooth out some of the satiny paints that I've got collecting on here. Don't worry, mate. She wouldn't listen to me. She can't be corrupted. Sedgicles, you can use absolutely regular acrylic paint. It works totally fine. Normal acrylic paint, probably the one difference is it does have usually larger pigments, like the pigments are a little bit more thick, whereas miniature pigments designed for miniature painting are usually thinner because they understand the scale, you know, finer pigments. But yeah, I've used a variety of acrylic paints on figure painting before that weren't specifically designed for miniature painting, and they were fine back when I was first starting out. That's okay, mate. It usually doesn't cost you too much to go and buy a few key colours from a miniature paint range, and you will notice a difference, like in how easy it is to use the colours in when you dilute them. Because usually in miniature painting you do want to have a lot more control over your paint, because you're dealing with much smaller surface areas than what you would normally be dealing with on canvas painting or bigger paintings. Well, as I said, you wouldn't need to spend a lot. I mean, I've collected a lot of different paint ranges over a lot of years, and I reckon I use 20 to 25 colours with any regularity. So, you'd probably shell out maybe $50, and you'd have colours that you'd use on just about every figure. So. Good on you, Frog Jim. All will be well, mate. It's just toy soldiers. Yes. So the satin finish is something we can control with relative ease. Where are you? Colour that I want. Off-white. I'm sure I was using you just very recently, so you should be somewhere accessible. Instead you're being a fuckwit and you're hiding somewhere from me, and I don't like it. What is wrong with you? Off-white, there you are, you little fuck. Alright, when you're painting eyes, golden rule number 1, never use white. That is actually not a white, that is actually a grey that I've mixed from red and the off-white colour that I just used. And I'm now going to shade some pink and red tones into that because it's still probably too bright. It is a wash, yes, but I am being a little precise in where I place it. So I'm not just blobbing it all over. I am trying to concentrate it on this lower part and not going too thick with the wash, so I can control it a bit. So go and have a look at eyeballs, right? Let's even look at mine right now. Very rarely are eyeballs, the actual eyeballs themselves, white. This value of this part of my eye is more in line with the mid-tones of my skin than it is with the highlights on my nose and my cheek there, that grey. So never do white. There is situations where you may do white, and those are usually when you have really small eyes, and what you're trying to do is create a really clear delineation between light and dark. That little dot, the little white dot of reflection will usually be when your eye starts to look really good. Up until that point, it'll usually look like shit. Yeah, the white dot's the best. So satisfying, especially when it starts to make the whole face come alive. Yep, it will make a world of difference. It's been a while since I've really tried to do like baller eyes, because you can take eyes really far if you want to. Haven't tried to do them in quite a while. But that white dot is probably the only piece you have to incorporate, or they won't look right. But hey, it absolutely is, and if you have a look at every single human eye when you are walking down the street, I highly recommend you just go and stare people in the eye real close to them. Even if you look at my eye right now, there's a white dot. And that white dot is because the eyes are moist. And that is reflecting light because it is moist. So you can do some cool shit as you get into working with interesting lighting and shadows, particularly if you have, you know, some strong OSL, object source lighting. You know, you can do that dot in the color of your source lighting because that's what would happen. But yeah, if you're uncertain about what I'm talking about, do what? Oh Bunny, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Bunny, hey Bunny, oh Bunny, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Bunny, hey Bunny, oh Bunny, what a pity you don't understand. Pretty cool drow you painted, Bun. Hey, I've got a really important question for you. Are you listening closely? Do you have a copy of Fishing Simulator 17? I'm trying to track it down. I've been trying to track it down everywhere. Can't find it. I heard you were the person to go to get it. Can you help? Yes, 8-pointed star. That source of light should be coming from the same direction. See a shadow you've wrote? Should be coming from the same direction as your light source is angled. Fishing Simulator. I need it. I need Fishing Simulator 17. Why haven't you got it? It's outrageous. I shan't be driving 5 to 10 minutes to get it from somewhere else. You should have the product that I want in stock right now. How dare you? I'd like to take this up with your supervisor. It's outrageous. Exactly. I'll tell you about one later on that happened today. You'll love it. You'll love it. Oh Bunny, what a pity you don't understand. Why can't you get me Fishing Simulator when I demand? Oh Bunny, what a pity you don't understand. It's supervisors like you, Bunny. Don't break my fishing heart, baby. Hey, fishing. Let's go fishing. That was my favourite story of the weekend, by the way. I loved it. I loved every second. Made my day. Evidently, it did not make yours. Friends, it is nearly 9 PM. Big Deno is tired from a very long day of not much. But we are going to indeed call to a close this Party Monday very soon. I hope everyone's enjoyed their party. Because I know I have. I've enjoyed it very much. I've got to participate in one of my favourite activities. Painting toy soldiers and talking about myself. Ah, rapid transit. You've timed it to perfection, mate. I do apologise. I do apologise. but I don't apologise that much. All right. Thanks, Sedgicles. Appreciate it. Let's pop this chap on his base with the other dudes and have a look. Thanks, Ron. Mate, I'm coming on stream again on Wednesday night, around the same time, 2 days from now. And then after that, I do a Sunday morning stream. Oh, thanks, Chris P. Thanks, Sumachigin. Sumachigin. I'm never going to get that right, mate. I'm very rarely can't get a name right, but that just all of the letters just go back to front in my head. Sumachigan. How do I say it? Sumachigan. Oh, thanks, Rumble. Didn't have to do that, mate. Appreciate it nonetheless. All right. This is the trio of grandiose lads. So look, I am definitely going to need to incorporate some red over this side. I think the angles of each of these is a challenge. The colour palettes are working though. So I'm gonna drop him down flush with the base, and I may even go right down. But the skin tones work better for me now that I've got all three on there. I still need to do more value and stuff, but yeah, makes me feel like I need more blue on this guy now actually. I almost feel like I wish I did that shield in blue. Not too late to change it, I guess. Let's mull over that. Let's mull over it another time. Friends, it's been a great privilege. Let's find someone we can raid. Yeah. Not that one. Twitch, no, what? No, don't go there. That's my corporate credit cards. Gotta get my prayers. Well, there's 1,000 people on. Celery's on, Brozerka, CHK. Let's see if there's any newbies on that we can say hello to. Miniature figures. I don't know. Alright, we got Mike Moans, Ravenart. Have I followed Ravenart? I have. I like that bust. Hello, someone. Yab, thanks for following, mate. You've picked a good time. We're just finishing up. Murray's movie talk. Ooh, let's have a look at this. Wonder if Murray talks about movies as well. What are you painting here, Murray?
I remember that.
Hello, Blissful Autumn, thank you. This is what I was painting tonight.
Oh, it's going round and
These
round
three.
and round.
Oh, good, thanks, mate. Well, this is interesting. Is that an orc truck from 40k or Gorka Morka or something? This dude does have a magnificent beard.
I'm about to dry brush all of this yellow, right? Because some of it's just got too much detail trapped in it. Or it's too
I don't think we've raided Murray's movie
yeah,
talk, and I like a guy who's willing to chat about movies. So let's raid Murray. On your muzza. Muzza.
2 for 22.
Oh my god, he's a cricket fan.
Welcome back here to the MCG.
Oh my god! Sign me up, Murray.
We are.
Cheer for
That rap
22.
song was terrible. I loved it.
Cheer for 22 today. Thank you, Blissful Autumn. I appreciate that.
M-A-R-V-E-L-L-O-U-S.
That's right, it's MAR. Murray's Movie Talk. Love a fucking Aussie.
Oh, right. Hey, Big Deno. Marvelous. Indeed, indeed. How you doing? Thank you very much.